All right, listeners. So today we're diving into dignity.
Dignity.
Yeah.
Okay.
And honestly, when I first saw this on the list for upcoming deep dives, I was like, really, dignity? This is going to be a tough one. But then I got the Wikiversity excerpts and wow,
Yeah,
this is fascinating stuff.
absolutely. It's one of those things that seems like it's going to be kind of abstract,
Right.
but when you really start digging into it, it's like, oh, this actually affects everything.
Yeah, it's way more relevant than you think.
Totally. And this Wikiversity page really jumps right in with this powerful statement about dignity.
Okay.
It says, dignity is something you're born with.
Born with it.
Yeah, not earned, not
Yeah.
given just by existing.
Inherent, exactly.
See, that's a new one for me.
Yeah.
I always figured dignity is something you got to earn, you know?
I hear like you got to be a good person or accomplish something to like earn dignity.
Right, like you earn it through your actions.
Exactly.
So you're saying, like, what's the deal with this inherent thing?
Yeah, unpack that a bit more for me.
Okay, so think of it this way. Imagine a baby
Okay.
that's just been born. That baby hasn't done anything yet, right?
Like no achievements, no good deeds.
No, but we still inherently recognize their value, their right to be treated with care and respect.
Okay.
That's inherent dignity at play. It's the foundation of why we recognize everyone deserves to be treated well just because they exist.
Okay. I think I'm starting to see the bigger picture here.
Yeah.
So if everyone's born with dignity, does that mean it can never be taken away?
That's a great question.
Because life can be tough, you know? People mess up sometimes. It feels like your dignity takes a nosedive. So how does that all fit in?
It's interesting because the source makes it very clear that even when we make mistakes,
Okay.
even when life throws those curveballs and we stumble, that inherent worth remains.
So it's always there.
It's always there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's almost like, think of it like freedom of speech.
Okay, I'm falling.
So even if someone expresses an unpopular opinion, right?
Right.
Or even if we disagree with what they're saying, even vehemently disagree.
Yeah.
The principle of free speech means we respect their right to speak their mind.
Okay.
And that right is based on the idea that their voice, their perspective, has value.
Just because they're human.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's acknowledging their inherent dignity, even if their actions or words might be flawed.
Interesting. So it's less about like feeling worthy all the time. It's more about recognizing that even when we're down, that core worth is still there.
Yes, exactly.
Really?
And that's where this whole idea of dignity being the foundation for human rights comes in.
Okay. How so?
Well, think about things like freedom from torture or the right to equality basic necessities. Those are all at their core about protecting everyone's inherent dignity.
It goes deeper than just being nice. It's
Oh.
about recognizing that everyone deserves to be treated in a way that recognizes their worth no matter what.
Precisely. And it's
Yeah.
not always easy.
Yeah, speaking of which, we all know the world isn't perfect.
Right.
So what happens when someone's dignity is violated?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sadly, we see it all the time, discrimination, abuse, even just plain old disrespect.
Yeah, it's a sad reality. And that's where this source, I think, gets really powerful. Because it draws a direct line between violations of dignity and suffering.
Wow.
Like, think about things like humiliation, oppression, even conflicts often stem from someone's dignity being disregarded, disrespected, or just outright denied.
So it's like a vicious cycle.
Exactly. Denying dignity causes harm. Upholding it benefits everyone.
Huh. So upholding dignity isn't just some abstract philosophy.
No.
It's actually crucial for a healthy society.
Yes, and it goes even further than that.
Really?
This source even connects dignity to things like taking care of the environment.
Okay, I don't see the connection.
Well, think about it. Respecting the dignity of future generations means we have to make sure they inherit a livable planet.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's this reminder that our actions today have ripple effects.
It's a lot of responsibility.
It is.
I have to say this is all resonating with me. But I gotta be honest, it also feels a little overwhelming.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like dignity, this big important thing, but how do we actually put it into practice? Where do we even begin? Yeah, it's like this blueprint for a better world. But where do we even start?
Right.
It all sounds good in theory, but how do we take this from some big idea to actually living it?
That's the million-dollar question. And this source really emphasizes this isn't just about some lofty ideal.
Right.
It's about taking action.
Oh, okay. So how?
And it actually gives us some pretty concrete ways we can all practice upholding dignity, both our own and others.
Okay, I'm listening. What kind of actions are we talking about?
Well, one of the things it highlights is speaking up against injustice.
Okay.
You know, like when we see someone being treated in a way that diminishes their worth, whether it's discrimination or harassment or even just like plain rudeness.
Yeah.
The source says staying silent can actually make the problem worse.
Yeah, it's like if you don't say anything, you're almost agreeing with it.
Exactly. And by speaking up, even if it feels uncomfortable,
Right.
we're not just defending that person in that moment. We're reinforcing the idea that dignity is something everyone deserves.
It's like we're voting for a better world just by saying something.
Yes, exactly. And it doesn't have to be this big dramatic thing.
Right. You don't have to like start protesting every day.
Exactly. It's often those small everyday actions that make the biggest difference.
Okay. I like that.
And in that vein, the source also talks about the importance of empathy.
Empathy.
Just really listening to someone, really trying to understand their perspective,
Yeah.
even when it's different from our own.
Oh, totally.
Mm,
You know, there's actually been research on that, how practicing empathy is like a workout for your brain.
interesting.
But anyway, it makes sense. We all want to be heard and understood.
Absolutely. And again, it goes beyond just being nice.
Right.
It's about approaching every interaction, from the barista making your coffee to your boss to your family,
Yeah.
with this awareness that the person you're engaging with, regardless of their background or beliefs or circumstances,
They have that inherent worth.
exactly. It's like this subtle shift in perspective that can change everything.
Huh. So we've got speaking up against injustice, practicing empathy, anything else.
The source also mentioned something that might surprise you. Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. I wouldn't have thought of that, but I'm interested. How did that fit into the whole dignity thing?
Well, it argues that holding on to anger and resentment, while totally understandable, especially if you've been wronged,
Of course.
it can actually eat away at our own sense of dignity.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's not about letting the other person off the hook. It's more about like freeing yourself from that anger.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that clinging to that anger and resentment,
Yeah.
while natural,
Yeah.
often causes us more suffering than it causes the other person.
Right.
Now, the source acknowledges that forgiveness is a process.
Right.
It takes time, and it's not always easy, especially when we've been deeply hurt.
Of course.
But it's framed as this really essential part of living a dignified life,
Okay.
both for ourselves and for creating a more compassionate world.
Wow. You know, I'm really glad we're having this conversation.
Yeah, me too.
This has really made me rethink my whole definition of dignity.
It's so much bigger than just like being polite.
Right.
It's about how we show up in the world, how we treat ourselves and others, how we approach things like conflict and forgiveness.
It's about recognizing that inherent worth.
Exactly.
And that's a powerful thing.
It really is. And speaking of powerful,
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
we have.
From dignity being something we're all born with to how it connects to human rights, even forgiveness.
Yeah.
But if you had to pick just one takeaway from this Wikiversity page,
Okay.
what would it be?
You know what I find really remarkable is how this source links dignity to resilience.
Oh, I'm interested.
It basically says that even when someone tries to take your dignity away, even when you're facing oppression or injustice, you still have this inner strength to draw on.
So even when it feels like the world's trying to beat you down, you still have a choice
Yes.
in how you react.
Exactly. And that choice, that act of resilience can be so powerful. It's about refusing to let the actions of others define your own sense of self-worth.
It's like saying, you can't take this away from me. This is mine.
Yes, exactly.
I like that you can try to knock me down, but I'm still worthy. I'm still here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what I find really inspiring is that the source gives examples of people throughout history who did just that.
Oh, yeah.
Individuals who faced unimaginable hardships, yet still responded with grace, with courage, and commitment to their own dignity.
Wow. So they teach us that even in those really dark times, that inner light, that inherent worth, it can't be extinguished.
Can't be extinguished, you got it.
Yeah. Man, this whole conversation has been amazing. It's really given me a whole new understanding of what it means to live a dignified life.
You too.
And not just for myself, but for everyone.
That's the beauty of this whole concept.
Yeah.
It's deeply personal, but it also has these huge universal implications.
Yeah. It's like we're all invited to create this world where everyone's inherent worth is recognized and respected.
I love that.
And it starts with us.
It does.
So listeners, as we wrap up this deep dive on dignity, here's something to think about.
Okay.
How can you be a force for upholding dignity in your own life and in the world around you?
That's a big question.
It is. What choices can you make, big or small, that reflect this whole understanding of inherent worth?
Hold on to those questions and let's keep this conversation going.
Yes, definitely. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
Until next time, Stay curious, stay engaged, and stay awesome.